is, it seems to me that there's some requirement for shareholder votes if convertible stock, preferred stock is issued beyond a certain limit. What are those limits?
There are no limits on the conversion term that we might do. But, for example, if we were going to issue a convertible preferred now, we have no plans to do it, but it could happen. In fact, it might well happen this year. We would, and the alternative, we'll say, was giving somebody $100 million in cash for a business. If we were to issue a straight preferred, we would figure out what $100 million worth of a straight preferred would sell for, what coupon would be necessary. And that would depend on call provisions and a few things. But for a AAA credit like Berkshire, it would be somewhere in the area of 7% or thereabouts. And then they would have no participation in the upside of the common. If they wanted something that was sure to maintain its principal value, then you have to issue an adjustable rate preferred that will keep its value around par. That preferred might have an initial coupon of, say, 5% or something of the sort, because it has the ability to go up or down based on interest rates, but it would always be worth about par. If we were to issue a convertible preferred, it might have a conversion price of, just to pick a figure, $28,000 or something of the sort, and a coupon well below the coupon on a straight preferred. And so whatever we did, they would equate out in our mind as to the value we were giving. We're not going to give 120% of X if we're only willing to pay 100% of X just because the form of a deal changes. But you may well see us issue at some point. You may see us issue a convertible preferred. You may see us issue a straight preferred. You may see us issue an adjustable rate preferred. I hope we do something, because if we do it, we'll think we're better off.
Based on your past performance, I'm sure you'll get more value than you give.
Well,
but in any case, it was my understanding that if the amount of shares issued for a conversion of a convertible issue were greater than 20% of the total amount of shares outstanding, then it would require a vote of the stockholders under Delaware law. I may be wrong.
I think it's a stock exchange rule, isn't it, Charlie?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right about the rule, but
it's a New York Stock Exchange.
New York Stock Exchange rule. That would be $5 billion plus of deal, and we would love to make a $5 billion deal, but I don't think we're going to do it. So I would say that the chances of any acquisition being large enough so that it requires a shareholder vote is probably slim, but it isn't because we wouldn't be interested. And if we have one, we'll be coming back to you with the votes already in hand. Are there any other questions on the preferred? We can talk more about it later, too. I just want to make... Oh, here we are. Sure.
Good morning, Mr. Buffett.
Morning.
I'm Raina DeCosta-Loy from Chicago. I'm very proud to be here, and I've seen you grow so that pretty soon we're going to be out in the football field. I think your explanation was very helpful, because as I read this, and I'm sure many of the other lay folk, I didn't understand what you were doing. And you mentioned the preferred stock, but in the prospectus, it's not clear whether it would be the convertible preferred, the straight preferred, and you cleared that answering a few other questions, but some of the people felt it would dilute their stock.
Yeah. Well, I should have made that clearer in the annual report, and I'm glad I've had this chance to do it today. Anything else on the preferred? Okay.
You don't have to come back to the shareholders for a vote after these shares are authorized for the terms of it. And you've discussed this in terms of buying companies. My question is, you yourself, through Berkshire Hathaway, own the preferred shares of several companies, Salomon, U.S. Air, American Express. Did those shareholders have to vote on the terms of the preferred shares that you bought for those companies, or was that left at the board of directors' decision level? Could you clarify that point?
Excuse me, go ahead.
Could you clarify that point, please?
Yeah. I think we've probably bought 6 issues of preferred directly from companies. And since none of those triggered that New York Stock Exchange rule that we discussed earlier, and they could have if they'd been somewhat larger, but they didn't, none of those deals had to be approved by the shareholders. I think the only deal we've had with a company that had to be approved by the shareholders was when we bought the Cap Cities ABC stock. Well, we bought it early in 1986. I think it was approved by their shareholders in 1985. But the only situations where it would have had to have been approved is if it triggered the New York Stock Exchange rule, and our purchases were not that large that they did that. Any other questions? Yep, there's one more.
My name is Dale Valkovitz. I'm from Champaign, Illinois. A recent issue of Barron's indicated that it may be possible to issue a best of all possible worlds preferred. That being one where the dividend looks like interest to the issuer and is tax deductible, and to the purchaser, it would qualify for the dividends received deduction. Do you think that structure might be possible with these shares?
Well, we haven't thought about that. I know what you're talking about on that, but I don't think it would be possible. For one thing, I don't think you could probably have a tax-free deal that way, Charlie. Do you?
We probably wouldn't try.
For one thing, I don't think you could probably have a tax-free deal that way, Charlie. Do you?
We probably wouldn't try and be that cute.
I've got several quips in mind, but I think I'll keep them to myself. My guess is that form does not work for a long time. I know what you're talking about on it, but my guess is it doesn't. Some companies, and we'll get on with this, but some companies care about the consideration they give in a deal, whether it's cash or preferred or so on, because they care about the accounting treatment that they get. They usually want pooling treatment rather than purchase accounting treatment. I won't get into that here. I know it's going to disappoint you, but I won't get into that here, although I may in the next annual report. And that is of absolutely no consequence. We have a shareholder body that's intelligent enough, not a wit, about to understand accounting economic reality of a transaction. We feel that by playing various games in terms of how we try to structure it and maybe flow part of the purchase price back through the income statement or anything of the sort, which is done, that's not something that we care about at all. We would rather do whatever makes the most sense for us and for the seller, and then explain to you whatever accounting peculiarities may arise out of the transaction. And that probably differentiates us from most companies, and it probably helps us make a deal occasionally. Anything else?
Really?
Okay, now I can hear you fine.
Okay, and I was wondering, will there be any opportunity for shareholders who may find the preferred issue preferable for any number of reasons to participate in that?
Well, if we issued a preferred and it became actively traded, let's say it was a company with many shareholders instead of a few, obviously that would be something that any new or present shareholder could make a decision on whether they preferred that issue than others. We could, but we have no plans of doing it. I don't see it happening. We could offer to exchange preferred for present common, and it's conceivable a few people would have an interest, but most people have self-selected in terms of the kind of security they want to own in terms of owning Berkshire Common, so it's unlikely they would want to switch into a preferred, because we wouldn't have a premium of value. It would just be an alternative security. We could do that, though, and it would probably be a tax-free deal. We have no plans of doing that, but it's something that if we ever thought that enough people might want, we could offer it. No one would be obliged to take it. It's a good question. Okay, we'll move on.